is your chance to make a contribution to the meeting, to make a contribution to Roy's performance at the next level of the competition. So what I'd like to say is, just show of hands please, let's keep this dignified and orderly. Does anybody have any feedback that they'd like to give to Roy for his speech, which you remember was the first one, and quite possibly the best speech that we had this evening? Anybody want to start? Les, you're not just going to be argumentative, are you?
No, of course not.
Can tell them how long it took.
I thought Roy's speech was very good. It was actually 7 minutes 25. The time got it slightly wrong. And of course, saying how good it is really doesn't help Roy. He needs to know points. And the only point that I would make is I didn't like the way we had Roy using the 2 6 guns pointing like this.
Right.
And I would prefer to see him maybe indicating with the closed hand. He was doing that.
Right.
But I would prefer this.
Yeah.
So that's just a small point.
Does that register with you, Roy? Do you know you're doing that? Because often when you're standing here, or you're standing on your stage, wherever that happens to be, your mind goes blank because you're just trying to remember the words that you need to say, and you forget that your arms are moving whilst you're talking. So often arms will just move of their own accord. So it's important that we have that kind of feedback to draw our attention as the speaker. Is that okay?
It might split the audience, that one, I think.
You think?
Possibly, I don't know. Some people might not like it, some people I like
Oh
it.
yeah.
Is
But-
there like a special sort of secret code book somewhere that says this is what you do, but this is not what you do? Am I like seriously? Am I missing a trick?
There is, but we can't tell you about it.
You've got to pay some money.
That's top secret.
There's a lot of perceived wisdom or lack of about hand gestures and what they mean. For me, the consistent rule that we should all try to adhere to is that the hand gesture should fit what you're trying to say. So, as a simple idea, it's no good saying the tall boy, but you can take it much further than that, and it is one of the things that I want to. In fact, I'll talk about it now with Roy. I think sometimes, Roy, your hand gestures are not congruent, or at least they could be better to match and emphasize the message that you're getting across. One of the things, if I was to agree with Les, is that you tend to have the same hand gesture almost no matter what the message is. So there were a couple where you did 3, and then I think it was two 15-second pauses. Now that tells the message. It reinforces what you're saying. But if what you're doing is this too much, then it looks like you've got some writer's dance rather than adding to the message. So I think that's definitely one of the things that I've made the point there about trying to look at your speech and look for places where you can actually put in a hand gesture. And my advice is just Google it, hand gestures. There are certain things that are used to re-emphasize a point. There are certain things, the open hand gesture is there as Peter eloquently described. This hand gesture. So there are lots of hand gestures that are universally seen as being sending their own message out. But it's no good sending out the hand gesture message if it's not congruent with what you're trying to say.
Sorry, Peter's got his hand up back.
Now that's a hand gesture, it means I've got a question.
Well, I've got a suggestion actually, and if Roy's comfortable with it, Roy, would you not prefer to go and stand at the front so we can actually talk to you rather than poor Tom seeing the back of his head? It's much better that way.
I don't know, from here, the view of Tom in full flight. Oh.
Well, the point I want to make, which is, Roy, you had a great introduction. I loved the bit about the Indian Navy, but I've got to be honest, I didn't get your joke. Now, I don't know whether it was because you said it a little quietly, but I think if you're going to bring humour into it, that's got to be a real killer. So you've either got to increase the volume, use different tone, or sort of almost telegraph it, you know, here's going to be a joke.
Yeah.
And the other thing is what I'm going to say, please take this the right way, but your pronunciation of a couple of words weren't quite correct. You said present when you should have said present. And I don't think you pronounced the word determined properly either. I'm sorry about that, Roy.
No,
Please
fair
don't
enough,
bite my
yeah.
head off. But I
Thank
think,
you.
you know, that would help.
Yeah, I don't want anybody starting to feel squeamish here because Roy has specifically asked for points of improvement. Roy doesn't want puffery, and it's not just because puffery is the word of the day. He specifically said before the meeting, if there's puffery, can you please stamp on it? Because I do not want, nor will I accept puffery. Is that okay? Yeah.
And just for the
No, Tom, you've had
visitors,
your turn.
just for the visitors though, this is not normal. We do not do this. We do not dissect as well. I'm just doing a great speech.
Yes, we do. We've got some stocks behind there.
Sorry, David had a point.
Yes, great speech, second time I've listened to it, and you're definitely getting better at it. What I'd like you to do is to look at your speech from a grammatical point of view, make sure that you've got all the thes and the ands. It doesn't come across well when you say, I joined Indian Army, or I got adrenaline rush. It's the Indian Army and adrenaline rush, in my opinion. And I think that would just help the speech come across more fluidly. The aside, the last joke that you mentioned when you might be killed by your mother, didn't quite get it. I'm not sure. And the analogy of the tsunami looking at the beach house, again, that didn't really work for me. Maybe another analogy might work better. So a great speech, but they're the things that I thought.
Yeah,
No, I'm going to jump in right now. You can wave your hands as much as you like, because I'm the most important in the room, because I'm the Toastmaster. I liked the tsunami beach house joke, but what I wrote down was it would be nice to say that whatever it was looked at me, the audience looked at me the way the tsunami looks at, and then accentuate the fact that this is a small, fragile, delicate beach house. So you use a Toastmasters triple there, just to say that we've got a tsunami, and then make it very, very clear that the beach house is a very small, delicate structure. That's one of the points that I'm making. Sorry, shall we?
I put, I like that you're very cheeky and funny, and I assume it is a complete lie that you haven't prepared. When you said, "Oh, I was going to do this, but actually I'm doing it," but I quite like that. I thought that was quite clever, and I thought it was a lovely transformation bit at the end. So you sort of did the bit, and then at the end it was sort of like it just sort of made me feel like, right, that's nice, and that was good, and it definitely fit the manual description of what it was supposed to do with that. And then the only improvement I put, and to be honest with the pronunciation, I could understand everything you said, but when it came to the engineer, I totally lost the joke because I was wondering what this word is. You know, that you throw a stone and it hits a dog or an engineer, and I didn't know what one of those was. On the second or third time I heard it, I understood what it was, and that was okay, and then I could reflect and get the joke. But on the first time of hearing that word, I couldn't understand what it meant, and so I didn't get the joke.
I'd say I like the adrenaline joke.
Yeah,
I like that. But and Peter's right, if you're going to make a joke and you know you've got something funny, like the engineer piece as well, you need to have a pause there, and you need to just stop for a beat and then say the word, even if it feels too long, and then produce the word, so that the audience knows that this is something of importance.
Definitely, yeah.
You've got 9 seconds of pause to fit in.
Yeah. But you can run away with pauses, or pauses can run away with you.
just one point. Laugh at your jokes more. Because you did in the second half of your speech And so we knew it was a joke, so we knew we had to laugh, and when you laugh, we'll laugh with you, and it gets the whole ball rolling. Whereas in the first half of your speech, I think, like everybody does, you went through the motions a little bit, and so you were concentrating more on the speech rather than the speech with these really good jokes in it. Some of them were really good jokes, but nobody laughed until you got about halfway through and you started to laugh.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I love the virus analogy where you said that you installed the virus sphere. That was a great analogy. That was lovely. But I thought you had lots of good analogies as well, Roy. The tsunami in the beach house one, I was a little bit confused about that one. Was it that you were looking at the tsunami, like from the beach house perspective? So that the tsunami with the audience, is that what you meant?
No, when my group mates, they looked at me
Yeah,
in anger that I couldn't present,
yeah,
having taken responsibility of going and presenting in front of them,
yeah.
and I let them down. They looked at me like,
Like
so
that
now
sort of,
how,
yeah, so like a
as
destructive
if,
manner.
yeah,
Alright, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
yes, hi.
I thought that the crossing the bridge bit, and you were doing like kind of a bit stiff movement, could that be rope bridge and then be just a little bit funnier?
Okay.
And then somehow I felt the delivery was a bit sharpish, just in a same throughout. I would say I would like to have a bit softened down and then lighter and just mixture of it, because it seemed like everything's just a bit.
That's always a danger if you're
Yeah,
delivering the same speech over and over again.
Yeah.
Because
It can become almost mechanical, almost clockwork, because you
Yeah,
know which
that's
part
it.
comes next. So then I will say the word which needs to be announced now, and it doesn't come across. So if you're going to work hard on picking the grammar, getting the intonation correct with all the pronunciation of the words, it still has to come across as fluid and natural, as do the hand gestures
Yeah.
or gestures or whichever. It still has to look and feel natural.
I think maybe delivering it each time, just telling yourself a lie, like you're delivering it fresh, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know all the points, so that.
I have to disagree to a great extent in the respect that you want to be able to, you're right, Suki, in the respect that if you deliver it and get bored with it, or if you haven't put the right kind of emphasis at a particular time, or a different tonality at a particular time, or a different pace at a particular time, or even put a pause in, that it is going to sound, as you were saying,
Yeah, I
staccato,
want that,
and
not just.
but if you work in there the pauses, if you work in there when you're going to emphasize something, if you work in there where the pause is going to be, then being repetitive in terms of knowing exactly when that pause is going to be there, or when it gets slightly softer, is exactly what you're looking for, because then you're not thinking about it anymore. You're not thinking about it, you're just delivering what is, in essence, what professional speakers do, as we heard before. They know exactly, one of the busiest speakers in the UK knows exactly when he pauses for effect and actually has a tremble in his voice. But he does it in such a way that it is incredibly effective. So I would say take no notes of what we just said. Get more of that going. By the way, I'm evaluating in the second half now. I've got nothing to say.
Thanks for taking all that time.
Ali
Eddie, Thomas.
first.
Yeah, got
One last point from
Ali
Barry,
first.
please.
Two people, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, you go first.
Ali first.
Yeah.
Thanks. You did have good use of analogies. Can I just check though? You installed a virus called fear, which infected or corrupted the operating system known as the brain. After that, did you say created another baby?
No, they somehow inside my body. Yeah, created a baby, produced it,
Right.
reproduced. Yeah.
And then did you say lack of self-belief? That's where it got to, because I'm looking at creation, but with lack of self-belief, you were taking something away. So it was kind of like, and it was one of those, I'd followed the analogy all the way through until it was creation and then lack of. So I don't know whether you can turn either way, created the baby I liked, but then
It's
you
almost
saying lack.
destroyed
Yes,
the belief.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, is there another way you can actually say, rather than lack of self-belief, that what is this baby that actually holds true with the rest of the analogy? With creating the variety of where you're emphasising things, one of the things with the guns, you didn't point the guns towards the audience. It was, and it almost, it made sense to me because you can choose life, but you can't choose life, but you can choose to live every day. So the very thing that you kind of weighing this thing up all the way through, it didn't come across as guns at the audience of you, where I would have felt attacked. So, and within a room, you're delivering to a variety of personalities. And so maybe what it's a case of doing is rather than just talking to the audience, you see the response that you're having. And you then start to kind of like adjust the way that you're using your body language to the response. Are you getting the response you intended? And if you're getting the response that you're intended from the majority, then if you're not getting the response, what can I do to adjust it? Yeah, so it's actually kind of like a feedback loop that you're using.
Thanks. Barry, one last
Yes.
point.
Yeah, I enjoyed the whole speech, and then right towards about halfway through it, I got really drawn in with like you using some really good metaphors, and I was enjoying those. And then right towards the end, you started speaking about Gandhi, and about how Gandhi would have only been this normal Joe Public if he hadn't have done what he'd done. And then you linked it to actually, this is what I got from it. You linked it to, you as a person who's listening to this, you go out and you just go for it. Go for what you want to do or what you want to be. And that's what I got from that, whether that was right or not. I found it quite motivating. But if it was motivating, and then it should maybe a little bit more emphasis on that motivating bit, because that was sort of like, for me, that was a real lead up. And that really drew me in at the end. And there should have been, you could really play on that end bit, as in that could really get somebody like, wow, yeah, that's what I wanted to hear today.
Yes.
Thanks everyone for your contributions, apart from those who have gone too far over time, because Steve is not happy. You should see that.
Thanks
Well,
so
we're
much.
actually straight on with the second half now.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much.